want to warm welcome you all on joining us today to this SMAFIN Expanded cross-country lab. I'm truly pleased to see many experts, national, regional stakeholders and representatives from key institutions from European this SMAFIN Expanded cross-country lab. I hear pleased to see many experts, national, regional. Sorry, something happened, and I was hearing my voice double. To see many representatives from key institutions with us this morning, and thank you for being here. I see more people joining as well. Today's session is part of the SMAFIN Expanded project, and it is designed to support the ongoing dialogue on innovative and inclusive financing for energy efficiency in buildings, in small, medium enterprises and the tertiary sector. And our goal of the project and the goal of today's session is to share knowledge, to exchange experiences and explore ways we can work together to improve financing tools and mechanisms across Europe. I want to welcome, first of all of you that you are joining and still joining, to welcome Kiki Papapoulou from CRES. She's the SMAFIN Expanded Coordinator. Welcome, Kiki. To welcome also Dragomir Janev, the Executive Director, Center for Energy Efficiency and Effect, also partner of the SMAFIN Expanded project. Thank you, Dragomir, for being here. Morana Pielic, Senior Project Manager at Regea from also SMAFIN Expanded project partner. Damir Stanicis from Josef Stefan Institute from Slovenia, again, SMAFIN Expanded project partner. Despina Kuzioka, the Head of Climate and Environmental Strategy Division at the National Bank Greece Bank and Group. Welcome, Despina, to this session. You're the only one outside of the consortium, but yes, we are very pleased to have you on board. And last but not least, Horia Petran from Urban Insert from Romania, also SMAFIN Expanded project partner. Without any delays, I would like to give first the floor to Kiki Papapoulou to present in short the project, the aims and what we want to achieve, not only through this SMAFIN Expanded project, which started in 2023, but also the legacy that we have from the previous one. Kiki, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alice. Good morning to all. A warm welcome from my side too. Just a very short notice before I start my presentation that Despina Kuzioka is not, it's of course the only one outside the consortium, but it's the first member of the Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition in Greece, representing the financial institution that first joined the European initiative. Going now to the presentation, I'm going to share some highlights as brief as I can as an introduction to today's discussion. Let me share my screen. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can see, but still needs to be in. And yes, now we can see.
It is now. Yes. So the SMAFIN Expanded project started in October 2023, and it has a duration of 3 years. It is co-financed by the LIFE program. It is a continuation of the SMAFIN. The first project, it was financed by the Horizon 2020, and it was successfully implemented from 2020 to 2023. The new project aims more or less as the previous one to support smart financing for energy efficiency interventions, mainly in private and public buildings, as well as SMEs and the tertiary sector, and its core activity is the organization of roundtable discussions. This project, the current one, is geographically expanded compared to the previous one, and this time includes Slovenia, the Johann Stefan Institute, in the group of the first project, which consisted of Bulgaria and Effect, Croatia, Regea, and the Croatian Green Building Center, Romania, the cluster ProEnzeb and Urban Insert, as well as the Romanian Green Building Center, and it is coordinated by CRES in Greece with very good cooperation of INGEM to implement the activities at national level. As brief as I can, because we have achieved much in the framework of SMAFIN, but also in the SMAFIN Expanded project. I'm going to present you what is available for you until now. First of all, we have uploaded on the project platform the 4 technical reports that have been elaborated in the framework of SMAFIN Expanded. The first one is an assessment of relevant projects and initiatives. The second one is a market analysis on financial models. The third one is a repository of energy efficiency best practices, and the last one is a review of national energy policies in the 5 countries that are participating to the project. Until the end of SMAFIN Expanded, which is in September 2026, we will have ready an update on the 3 last reports. So you will find 2 versions uploaded on the platform. As I mentioned, the core activity of our project is the organization of roundtables, of roundtable discussions. We have in total to implement 15 roundtables. By now, we have already organized the first 2 cycles in the 5 countries, and we have the third and last cycle to be organized this spring. Also, we have supporting actions to the roundtables, to the roundtable events. We call them feeders of roundtables, and the reason is that we work before and after the roundtable discussion on the topics, along with the national working groups that we have established in each country with national experts, preparing the topics and then work on the result of each discussion. Further to the national working group meetings, we have the thematic working groups, which are vertical actions, again, with stakeholders, experienced stakeholders in each country, where we discuss specific topics that are very well connected to the policy recommendations that are expected in each country by the end of the project. And the third activity is the cross-country labs, as the one we have today. I'll come later on in more detail. The online platform, you can find it www.smafin.eu. It's our portal. It has all the information regarding the current project, but also you can find everything that has been produced in the framework of the first program. So we have all project deliverables, the technical reports, the roundtable proceedings, the agendas, presentations, and the results of the discussions. We have the library where we have collected all financing schemes, projects, and programs, and you can find them by country. And of course, there are news on EU level, but also at national level. The 5 policy recommendations are expected, 5 by country, are expected by the end of the project. And we have available the newsletters. We have 3 issues up to now, and fact sheets and our social media campaigns that occur on the event of special deliverables. Just a brief indication of the topics that we work on during the roundtables. We have discussed about financing energy efficiency in public, residential, and tertiary sector buildings. As I mentioned, both in the first SMAFIN as well as in this SMAFIN Expanded, buildings was an outstanding sector that we have dealt very much with it. We have also discussed about financing energy efficiency in industry, renovation of residential buildings, and subtopics of interest in each country, energy poverty, energy communities, and one-stop shops. We have spoken about digitalization and skills in the construction sector. We have dealt with the Social Climate Fund, with EU taxonomy and new financing models, and on energy efficiency auctions for tertiary sector companies, and many more. If I had to add one more, it would be monitoring of the implementation of financing programs in each country. The thematic working groups, which have been added to the current SMAFIN Expanded project, is is of great importance for us, as they allow to work on specific topics. Some of them are going to present it today. So colleagues in Bulgaria, under the coordination of NFECT, have discussed the sustainability of one-stop shop supporting tools for the renovation of residential buildings and energy communities for S and buildings renovation. In Croatia, colleagues under the coordination of REGEA and the Croatian Green Building Center have dealt with renovation of public buildings, renovation of residential and energy poverty, financing local government projects, and upgrading mechanisms for renovation of multi-apartment buildings. In Greece, we have discussed one-stop shops and financing of energy efficiency interventions under the Energy Efficiency Obligation Scheme, Article 7 in the previous directive, Article 8 in the current one. In Romania, they have dealt with the development of financing mechanisms, renovation and decarbonization in the two thematic work groups they have organized there. And in Slovenia, colleagues have been discussed about EU taxonomy and green financing and demonstration program aimed at comprehensive energy renovations in multi-apartment buildings. Today, as I mentioned, it is a cross-country lab. It's the only, let's say, international activity, international event we have, as roundtables and working groups are mostly on national level. Of course, in the roundtables, we have many times invited external experts to present best practices and share experience. But they are mainly addressed to a national audience. The cross-country lab is an activity that we have included in this current project to exchange know-how and to achieve harmonization of the national policy measures, to discuss also similarities and differences between countries. And as our project ends in September 2026, we would like very much to exploit what we have achieved in both projects, our methodology, to support the work is starting now, has the European Initiative of the Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition and the national hubs established in each country under this activity. We will be in close cooperation with them to support and transfer our experience to the national hubs. You can follow us, our work, and see our deliverables, of course, by visiting our website, subscribing to the newsletter recipients list we have, and of course, following us on our social networks you are seeing here. Thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful discussion.
Thank you,
Thank
Kiki.
you.
Thank you for the detailed presentation of our project. And it's time to move to the first session, which is about smart financing solutions. And I invite our colleague Dragomir Janev, the Executive Director of the Center for Energy Efficiency and NFECT. He will present us on one-stop shops as local support mechanisms for building renovation programs. The floor is yours, Dragomir. Before starting, just give me 1 second that to tell to our participants that they can post their questions on the chat box. You can find the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, or even the Q&A session. We will collect all of your questions and we will answer them at the roundtable discussion. And yes, with that, Dragomir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alice, and thank you for the organization of that cross-country lab, because it's indeed very important to be able to exchange among the countries in the region. The challenges that we are meeting are quite similar, so any solution that comes from the neighboring countries are really come into our landscape and can be utilized and adapted to our context and situation. Our job here is to present the one-stop shop mechanism as an enabler of building renovation programs. In our case, it's mostly about multifamily building renovation, because as probably many of you know, Bulgaria is in transition from 100% grant programs to more sustainable market mechanisms. That transition is not easy, definitely, but it has to happen. And the one thing that we need is technical assistance on site whenever the investment intention arises. And here one-stop shops really represent an invaluable mechanism. So what is, first of all, the purpose of one-stop shop? Obviously, the construction sector operates in a very complex value chain, so we need to reduce that complexity. Complexity is expensive, and that's the only thing that we have to remember from this, right? Complexity is expensive. One-stop shops are reducing complexity, thus simplifying the process of building renovation. I tend to illustrate that with just one.
Dragomir, if you can hear us, we have some difficulties to hear you.
We need to provide a service where people can enter a shop and say, I want to buy one building renovation, please. I can hear you perfectly. I don't know if you can hear me now better.
Is it okay now? Now it's a bit better, yes. Thank you.
All right, I hope it's fine. So I'm continuing. So basically where I stopped, we want to simplify things. We want people to be able to purchase a building renovation without dealing with multiple actors along the value chain. And obviously that also comes in favor of implementation, large-scale implementation of renovation programs. So what do we need to have in order to provide sustainability? Because what we have now is one-stop shops which are financed by public money. That is not sustainable. Public money will end one way or another. So that is why we need to understand what are the things that matter for the sustainable operation of one-stop shops. And one-stop shops can have a certain role in enabling environment. They can disseminate information, obviously. They can provide capacity building to different actors. They can provide certain free consultation about the availability and application process for renovation programs. But in order to be sustainable, they need to sell. They need to operate the shops, because maintaining such centers is related to cost. Of course, they reduce complexity and it becomes cheaper, but that is also associated with cost. So even if we wish that the public support would continue forever, that's not what would happen in reality. We need to provide some constant cash flow, and that comes through technical assistance, to application assistance, to selection of contractors, procurement procedures, through quality assurance, because quality is important in any investment, and through potentially escrow services, which makes the portfolio of such one-stop shops complete. So this is how we see that in a list of items. We are now at the phase in Bulgaria with our pilot experiences to trying to combine the first two broader areas, the free consultation services and the supporting implementation services. That combination, we hope, is the first reasonable, feasible step. Then we hope to proceed to other more complicated services related to financing of individual projects, but that's something that would probably come in the next years. We have a certain project that supports us in that area, and this is what we want to present, the experience from this project. It's called Share Renov Plus, and it actually sets one-stop shops in 6 cities of Bulgaria. And most of these these one-stop shops have different business model because yes, one-stop shops, they combine different services, but they often have individual initiator, which is competent on a certain aspect. And it then gathers additional expertise for another services, expanding the services, combining different services in a whole package, which it reduces the complexity as we started with. So here we have one-stop shops which are started from the municipal actors, from the local authorities, which is possible, but it's not so easy because municipalities are not proficient in selling things, as we know, and they need private expertise in that. We have technical expertise, so energy auditors, energy consultants that are providing such services, but they're expanding it to additional areas, as for example procurement, or as for example quality assurance. We have building companies which specialized in energy efficient construction but want to add a complete product in their portfolio. That's the case in Burgas, and that's extremely interesting. We also have energy providers, energy service providers in Plovdiv. This is EVN Bulgaria, which combines its energy supply services through a complete energy consultancy assistance, including for building renovation to its clients, which proves to be, by the way, quite an interesting model to be followed. We also have Chamber Industrial Association, which combines typically different types of companies. But here we have some resource to make these companies serve the needs of supporting the renovation projects in Bulgaria, as in the case in the city of Ruse on the Romanian border. So from these multiple models of development, we are learning lessons, and the lessons are in several areas. We hope that you could find them valuable to share. For each of these models, we found that we need, of course, to adapt the strategy. The strategy is similar. We find similar problems in each of the areas, but we need to address the challenges in a different way. And the most important thing is to establish an equal knowledge level between these different service providers. That's the challenging thing, because some organizations, as I mentioned, they are expert in such things. They prioritize certain consultancy activities, but they don't have the expertise in others. So for that, we established a training program which is identical for all one-stop shops, but of course, working with the individual one-stop shops, we emphasize on different aspects which are underestimated in their current level of development, and we're doing it with different approaches. We're doing internal trainings, but most importantly, we are learning by doing. So we combine experts from different one-stop shops. We bring them together to one operating one-stop shops, and we see how the experts there on the site are working both in-house, in the office, and in direct engagement with the individual project owners. And we do that through exchange visits, and we find that this is probably the most useful method of mutual learning, because as everybody knows, classroom trainings, they have their space, but they're just not sufficient. And the other thing that is equally important, okay, you can have very well-trained one-stop shop personnel, but without knowledge and capacity from the local professionals, the local auditors, the local assessors, local designers, construction companies, contractors, building control, it's not working on field. So we need to provide certain knowledge for them and to accommodate them to the service of one-stop shops. And it's also absolutely valid for the municipal officials and the condominium representatives. They need to know what to expect from the renovation projects, what is their role in that, and what are the rights and the obligations that they have, and eventually what is the support they can expect from the one-stop shop services. So developing the ecosystem is equally important than compared to what we do in the internal capacity for the internal capacity of the one-stop shops. And here it is how it looks. So we are doing a lot of face-to-face training, sometimes not in the perfect conditions, but construction sector is not famous that it is very comfortable, but people are coming and people are listening, and rooms are typically full because there is an explicit need for such capacity building. We do a lot for homeowners associations because actually they're the investors and they have to know what to expect from the investment, hence what is the added value of the one-stop shop service. And I hope we have smiling one-stop shop operators, which is equally important because it's not only papers, it's not only figures, it's also good nature, good humor, ability to communicate with people of different professions, different origins, different educational level, if you wish, but people that are united for the purpose of providing better quality, better comfort, better health conditions in their housing. So these are the results in Sofia. That's the most impressive one. In the transition to the co-financing program, actually 70% of the successful applications came only from 5 regions which were served by the one-stop shop. So if you have a one-stop shop, people apply. If you don't have a one-stop shop, people do not apply. And that's a proven fact in the city of Sofia. In the city of Gabrovo, the municipality there, every single application was consulted, and the city was in top 3 most successful in convincing people in applying for the co-financing programs, which is again proving the hypothesis that if you have the service, then the results are coming. In the city of Plovdiv, the first wave of consultation came from the program for individual photovoltaic system, where the majority of the applications at national level were consulted by the one-stop shops in Plovdiv. Together with that, the EVN Consultancy Center has individually visited and provided advice to more than 1,000 households which were interested in improving their energy efficiency, which is a huge success for us, even from awareness, communication point of view. And the last thing that I would continue, it's also good after you know what is the process and what are the barriers to provide a certain tool. We provide a tool for, first of all, very quick and easy calculation of the potential savings based on information that every individual owner should be able to provide of its building. And then besides that, we are providing a backend which is really handy for the energy auditors who can take their tablets, laptops, whatever, phones, mobile phones, and introduce all information that they collect during the physical visits of buildings in a streamlined system, which they can access at any time without the necessity to deal through various folders, files, and look in their colleagues' computer when their colleagues are away. So that comes into a nicely organized, I think, platform which can easily be utilized in Bulgaria and potentially replicated elsewhere, because the process is more or less similar. The calculator, of course, is different because there are different norms, different regulations, but the backend is extremely important because it really simplifies the process of work of the energy assessors. So these are the lessons learned, and this is where I stop. Of course, we need running programs, but besides running programs, we need increased capacity, and we need tools that can facilitate and simplify, reduce complexity for both end users and for providers of the service. Again, our added value in monetary terms is in reduction of the complexity. And continuity, transparency is really important. We do hope that that is going to happen at the political level, because these are like, connected vessels. Policies depends on technical consultancy. Technical consultancy depends on transparency of the policies. There are, of course, multiple areas that offer very promising potential. Energy communities are one of them, and we are continuing in that direction as well. Local businesses, local small and medium enterprises are the other ones, because they command and they use the trust from the local authorities. The trust that local authorities and local businesses have to each other is a very important factor in reducing the cost and the complexity. With this, I would like to thank for your attention. And of course, if any questions arise, I would be happy to elaborate.
Thank you, Dragomir. What I'm keeping from your presentation is what you said, and we all know, is that public money will end. We don't know exactly when, but they will end. And when it comes to energy efficiency, renovations, and everything, the challenge is always to see who will proceed with renovations by placing own money. And this is a big challenge, because this is where we're going to understand if people have understood the value of energy efficiency and they're proceeding by investing for their own properties. Doesn't matter if it is a household or a small medium enterprise, or they are just taking advantage of the free public money that are available for some years more. So this is a big challenge to see what will happen after the public money ends. Definitely, as Dragomir also said, you can place your questions at the chat box or the Q&A, and we will discuss them later during the roundtable discussion. And with that, I would like to give the floor and welcome Morana Plejic, Senior Project Manager from Regea, from Croatia, to discuss with us about smart and innovative financing models. The floor is yours, Morana.
Yes. Thank you very much, Alice, and hello, everyone. For the first part of this excellent event, I will share some findings on one short and brief presentation. So I hope everything is fine. Sorry, no. Do you see presentation?
There is an icon, Morana, that says continue.
Yes, I don't know what's happening. Slider is, okay.
Okay, now we can see,
Oh,
yes.
Perfect, perfect, okay. So I think that we can all agree that when it comes to building renovation, energy efficiency, and decarbonization, traditional grants and state subsidies or national subsidies are not enough to meet European climate targets. And on European level, market participants from finance to construction are searching a way to mobilize and attract private capital, developing new financial models that can make building renovations and energy efficiency investments more attractive to private investors. And I must say that the European Commission is doing a really great job to support sustainable finance to achieve European Green Deal and new Fit for 55 targets across sectors. So each of the member states for sure has been a part of at least one sustainable finance initiative, from coalition of finance ministers to energy efficiency financial institution groups. But what is unknown is that Commission is strongly pushing development of capital markets, from Capital Markets Union to private equity and venture capital funds with intention to invest more in energy efficiency and climate projects. Now we have a new initiative, Savings Union, where European Commission is trying to engage more and more citizens' savings into the investments. So we can say that the Commission is working really hard to support sustainable investments. The start was basically with EU taxonomy package and sustainable finance disclosure regulation, where Commission wanted to directly ensure the part of financial institution portfolio must be sustainable. So what they wanted to achieve. They wanted to support financial institutions like banks and pension funds and investment funds to increase their investment portfolio in sustainable investments. But you know, when it comes to private money, we have several key requirements that each private investor is looking for. When we compare projects and market of financial investors, the investor's security is always key priority. So the main questions are what smart and innovative financing needs to succeed, and what are key elements to attract private finance. And when we tried to discuss with our financing stakeholders and banking partners, it seems that all around Europe, new financial models requires few main targets. First is clear regulatory framework. The second one is strong institutional capacity. So the national or local projects have to have expertise with bankable project. The next thing is project aggregation and standardization. So we have to know how to bundle smaller projects into bankable investment portfolios. For that purpose, we need to have technical assistance or pipeline preparation. Therefore, for example, Elena is very good supporting mechanism to make projects investment ready. We need to know how to have blended financing approach. So how to apply several financing sources into the one project. And the last two topics that are most important are transparent monitoring and data-driven evaluation tools. Why? This is something a little bit different than grant financing because a private investor is always searching for some investment proof. So after the financing period is done, it is not surprising that investor will always look for some progress proof, and we will have to be able to ensure that their investment is valid. So when we were making market analysis on the 5 consortium country level, we basically looked for financing models that actually could work and could be replicated or scaled up, especially with focus on building renovation and energy efficiency. And for now, we collected the impressive 80 financing schemes that are active with more than 40 non-grant schemes, you know, things like loans, guarantees, and blended models. And all of this is available on our SMAFIN library, so anyone can go and search through non-grant financial schemes that have some implementation success or replication potential. When it comes to non-grant financial schemes, we have tried to see the strengths of each country, and Bulgaria excelled in funds dedicated to energy efficiency, building renovation, and of course, climate projects. They succeed in 3 programs and initiatives supporting local authorities and governments, from first called National Trust Eco Fund that was founded in 1995, which is basically a program that supports local authorities and projects for climate mitigation. That fund was designed as a state-managed grant and co-financing program, and it operates under debt for environment and debt for nature agreements, and basically managed revenues from auction trading and GHG quota sales. Bulgaria also noted 2 additional funds. The second one is Fund FLAG, and the third is Bulgarian Energy Efficiency and Renewable Sources Fund. Croatia, on contrary, focused on financial instruments. And here in Croatia, we don't have yet well-developed fund industry, but have some significant experience with financial instrument and cross-sector collaboration. Here we want to notice that our Ministry of Regional Development and EU funding is collaborating with Croatian Development Bank and Commercial Bank around the countries. And we can say that 2 types of financial instruments really stands out. The first one is called Urban Development Fund. That was developed to finance a public commercial project with the option of principal write-off if preconditions sustainability targets are met. The second instrument was intended for financing public building, and it was designed to support final recipients in the form of loans, guarantees, and equity investments, and it was financed from European Structural and Investment Fund. And in our country, financial instrument gained really good success. So now our ministry is developing financial instrument for multi-apartment buildings as a pilot project, of course. And we think that financial instrument as a kind of blended finance are really good example to finance projects that want to move from grants to commercial financing, but are not still prepared for example, loans or capital markets. Greece is also one great example. Greece excelled in green co-financing instrument and subsidized energy efficiency loans, where they developed through recovery and resilience facility. They've rolled 3 programs like home energy savings and Save the Business, where they grants and co-finance loans for households and SMEs, and in addition, Hellenic Development Bank partnered with Commercial Bank in green co-financing loans found. And also, same as Bulgaria, Greece provided us a great example of one deposit and loans fund, promoting a social and regional development with long-term loan to municipalities and local authorities. Romania excelled in green loans and mortgages, which is a very good example, because when we were doing research from country to country, it seemed that Romania developed a real good program of mortgages, green mortgages for private buildings, but they also excelled in the loan-based and guarantee schemes. So what we want to highlight is their multi-regional investment platform, which was financed from European Regional Development Fund and the European Investment Bank. Within multi-regional investment platform, European Investment Bank manages 400 million euros on behalf of regional development agencies, and for now, 2 intermediaries are in the progress. Romania also highlighted the green economy financing facility for private buildings and thermal rehabilitation loans with state guarantee. The last example is quite interesting because Slovenia pioneered something that other European member states are still considering, and that are capital markets instrument and the forms of blended finance. So they stand out with one good example in the form of EcoFund, which offers soft loans for energy efficiency and renewables across all sectors. And another fund is Climate Change Fund that combines grants and financial instruments to support wide range of green and sustainable projects. What we mentioned for Slovenia is that Slovenia already issued green bond, both at the government level and through commercial banks like SID Bank and Nova Ljubljanska Bank. And the funds were basically raised to finance energy efficiency, renewables, and sustainable mobility. So we can say that Slovenia is on the pathway of, for example, France or Spain that also already issued green and sustainable bonds. And we hopefully are waiting that the other countries explore possibility of financing energy efficiency and sustainable and climate projects on capital markets. So we think that basically we have done great research for each market because, as we can see, each market has their own strengths and their own pioneering projects. So when we think about the future of energy efficiency financing, we think that each country, as we said, stands out with the last of one financing schemes, showing some kind of experiences and a pathway for energy efficiency and building renovation. And what we think the future will lead us, there are 3 main financing schemes that we can focus on. First one is development of ESCO models that have huge potential, but they need legal backing, especially in the form of new financial models and aggregation of projects. Then we have blended finance in the form, for example, of financial instruments where we can mix EU funds and national or private money. And financial instruments are real game changer for speeding up some public and commercial projects. And of course, more advanced level are capital markets in the form of green and sustainability linked bonds. Capital markets can bring new money, but we must be advanced in financial literacy and have will and knowledge to enter capital markets and private financiers. What is also very valuable during our future of financing, this is development of digital tools, which help us basically track progress and improve transparency, development of technical and financial assistance, like, for example, Elena for project developers, and of course, one-stop shops for technical and financial assistance for citizens, but also for public authorities. And with this slide, I would like to thank you all for letting me explain our short analysis and what we have achieved in analyzing financial models all over our 5 consortium countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Morana. We will discuss it in the roundtable, but as in the case of one-stop shops presented by Dragomir in the previous presentation, we know that public money will end soon, or will end not soon, at some point that will end. So what I would like to discuss is if private investors, according to your opinion, are interested in public projects, because it's totally different when we're talking about the private sector, and it's totally different when public sector comes into the circle of financing, managing, investing, and everything. But let's keep that for the roundtable later, because we are a little bit behind. I also see a hand raised by George Gumas. If it's possible, Mr. Gumas, if you can write your questions at the chat box, and at the end we will try to reply to all of them. And with that, I'm welcoming again our colleague from Slovenia, Damir Stanicic, a senior researcher at Josef Stefan Institute. We will approach a different, let's say, topic now. It's about vulnerability and equity and how we can ensure that we can have inclusive financing without excluding marginalized groups, if I may say, vulnerable groups. But let's leave Damir to explain to us about this approach. Damir, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody from Ljubljana, from Slovenia. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Everything, it's in full mode. Thank you.
Okay. Hopefully, I will provide some additional information about vulnerable groups and how we discussed about this topic during our national roundtables, working groups, thematic working groups, and so on, and dealing with experts in different countries. Of course, ensuring inclusive financing is one of the part of the problem dealing with vulnerable groups, because from the very beginning, we have to open different aspects, not just financing and energy efficiency. We are talking about social environment and economic situation. So the topic is quite complex. To provide maybe a wider framework in which these discussions related to vulnerable customers, people in low-income households, and people living in social housing. Basically, all the time we are speaking about energy poverty and aspects which are tackled in the Energy Efficiency Directive in Article 24 especially. But here we have also some connections to other directives, mainly to energy building and renovation directive. And also this topic is included in all recent strategic documents. We are talking about national energy and climate plans and national renovation plans, which are being developed and upgraded and optimized, and including this topic, which is becoming more and more important. Why? Because when we are dealing with the energy efficiency, you cannot perform energy renovation of one building if you have different customers with different social possibilities, with different possibility to finance renovation, and then you have to deal with many other problems. And we tried during our national roundtables and thematic working groups to discuss these kind of problems, and also to identify the barriers and to identify how we can solve that, including financing. And we also proposed some interventions in our strategic document. I'm now speaking about the whole consortium, and some of these topics and some of these proposals have been already implemented in the national strategic documents. So basically, we have some must statements, what we have to do, and then we developed also some kind of discussion topics. One of the topic which at the very beginning showed to be very important is how to define a vulnerable customer. What is definition? Why? Because if you know to whom you are speaking to, then you can also define the problem and what are their needs. Afterwards, of course, we tackled some policies, not just energy and climate policies, but also some social aspects of policies which have to be included, discussing this problem and empowering this group to be present in all our activities. So based on these policies, some specific measures have been developed and proposed, and in terms of financial aid needed, and you will see in later during my presentation, some countries also propose some specific solutions related to price regulations. But nevertheless, we are sure that we haven't tackled all the aspects which should be tackled. And at the end also, I would like to stress that all these programs, policies should be designed based on data, and that showed to be a major problem. If you want to approach this group, you need some specific set of data and indicators to develop specific measures, to develop specific programs and policies, and also to provide financing. Talking about the definitions here, you can see two examples of very good structured definitions of vulnerable groups and related to energy poverty. In Greece, they structured in a way that they are addressing older people, immigrants, single-parent households, low-income households, unemployed individuals, and the individuals with ill health. This is a kind of multidimensional definition, and I was really impressed when I explored this approach, because it is not just a definition. This definition is very well connected to the financial instruments and financing they designed in Greece, and you will see later, and also the external expert will talk about that probably, how they are providing financing to all of these groups with some specific requirements. And of course, if we are talking about specific group, you need additional information, data again to build the whole process. And not just data, also you have to connect different networks, let's say health insurance, if we are talking about immigrants, that's totally different approach. Also in Romania, the approach is quite same. But what here I'm very keen to present is that they additionally identify some additional topics they would like to speak about and provide solutions, let's say about the isolation from energy sources. So when you approach rural areas, you have a problem that vulnerable people in that area have some specific problems, and best available technologies are not always solving their problems. That showed also in Slovenia. We have in our social and climate plan and financing has specific problems with biomass because there are some requirements related to financing and best available technology. So here you can see on these two cases how it's very important to identify this group properly and to address the barriers and problems. In Bulgaria, they have official definition, but it showed out that this definition is not so precise, and also considering needed data to tackle these groups or to address these groups, they have some problem to identify energy poor households, and so that is also causing the problems to them. In Slovenia, the situation is quite similar. We have a definition. We defined energy poverty and based mainly on household earnings, but during the preparation of social and climate plan, and also during the financing design, we identified that we don't have enough data to provide and to empower these groups with proper financing. Again, we have to go back a step and to rethink how to deal with data acquisition and about the group range, because that is causing us problems. Croatia is somewhere in between. Croatia officially has a definition, but I think that's my personal opinion, that during the recent programs which were based on 100% grants or a high percentage of grant financing, it was not necessary to identify all these groups, but nevertheless, as Morana presented, they have a very good financial instruments, that they are blending them, and then this aspect will come forward. Yeah, sorry, I'm too fast. Yeah, discussing about the energy poverty and vulnerable groups, there is always a question: what is a priority? Yeah, so we are approaching these groups, proposing some energy efficiency measures, even introduction of renewables, asking for them to decarbonize their buildings and so on, and then of course, it is normal to ask ourselves, is that a priority for them? What we should do to provide appropriate tools, which measures have the greatest impact on them and on this kind of groups, and are we tackling just financial part, or this technical issue is very important, or even social aspects are necessary. at the end, I think that we all discovered that all these aspects are equally important, and that we have to take into account all these aspects, designing measures and our propositions to policymakers and also to financing institutions. That means that all different networks and data platforms and one-stop shops should include also this topic and build on different aspects and different experiences, and in order to optimize the whole process. And of course, as Morana said, also monitoring and reporting also of these kind of projects is very important, because we would like to improve, we would like to reach the targets, and we would like to provide and empower this group to be included in all processes. How they sorry, I have problem with my, it is too sensible, my mouse, so yeah. And how the countries dealt with that problem. So in Greece, they established or they plan to establish energy poverty observatory, energy vouchers introduced. Of course, here is the problem of all the time. What is the target? Deep renovation and provide some renovation support to the worst performing buildings. So here you can see the priorities and mechanisms which are directly addressing also these groups, but of course within all these measures there are some special solutions provided. In Romania, they provide quite similar measures and targeted support, but what I see here in Romania quite interesting is how they promote collective solutions. So in these countries there are significant district heating areas which are deteriorating, and so some additional measures have to be developed also for this group, because this group tends to disconnect from the networks and also close the heating devices. Also, in Romania, they are much more strengthening local capacity. So again, these groups are also point of interest to the municipalities, because beside the social and support, they are developing these kind of programs, and they need to also to provide some additional support at the local level. Also, in terms of one-stop shops, especially designed, one good example is Spain, where they have these open gala offices or offices where this kind of group can get all support needed. And they also can stressed in Romania this change behavior aspect, which is very interesting, because it's not just changing how these groups are acting or performing, but also it's change of behavior, how we design all these programs and the measures for this kind of group. In Bulgaria, Croatia, and Slovenia, here we can see that, as Dragomir already stressed, role of one-stop is crucial, and the energy communities are rising topic, which is now providing also additional support to these kind of groups, and these energy communities are even being developed in other countries, in Slovenia and in Greece. So, but in terms of programs, we are mainly now speaking about social and climate plan and social and climate fund financing. So throughout these plans, special measures have been developed. Let's say for Slovenia, we have some investment supports defined for vulnerable households, for multi-apartment building groups, vulnerable groups in these kind of buildings. And then we also we are trying to develop these energy communities. And beside of that, in parallel, some information, education, and training measures and programs are being developed. So as has been stressed before, the grant money is it is the end of the grant money probably in very near future. So we need to use strategically existing funds and to mix them, and as Morana said, try to use different sources. But now we discuss also which financial instruments are the most appropriate for this kind of activities, which expert cooperation is needed. Here we again open this question of one-stop shops, but let's say in Slovenia, we are not just trying to establish one-stop shops, but we are also introducing or involving or combining one-stop shops within the financial instruments in order to provide timely implementation of all planned measures and also planned financing. So, for example, in Slovenia, EcoFund we will incorporate one-stop shop, and the cost for this one-stop shop will be part of the whole program of financing. And of course, related to financing, it is also a question which tools and we need for this kind of groups. And what we found out, these are the list of different financing instrument, financing sources, financing programs. I'm very pleased that I can also mention again the Greek Exoeconomo program. I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that okay, but again, related to the structured definition of this kind of groups. The program was designed and developed, and which is targeting especially this kind of groups and providing some special commodities to these kind of groups. In Romania, again, we have here some vouchers, but beside that, again, mainly financing will come from the Social and Climate Fund. And also, if you take a look, many financing sources are at the EU level. Of course, that demands quite a long period of the preparation of the programs, reporting barriers, administration, and that is also one of the problems which should be addressed during the design of all these schemes. In Bulgaria, again, we have a social and climate plan. In Croatia, Croatia is very interesting because they are practically using all the financial instruments and financial funds available and combining them and going smoothly from one programming period to another. And that is also one of the dimensions which should be addressed. We need a long-term stable financing sources. So in Croatia, they are solving that with a kind of specific approach. In Slovenia, as I mentioned before, we are blending different financing grants with loans and guarantees, but now main focusing on social and climate plan. And I will provide here our implementation table, in which you can see how much funds we allocated for some groups, but nevertheless, at the end, I would like to stress this number. We need to address 17,000 households, provide financing in the provide technical assistance, provide some social assistance during the next 6 years. It's quite demanding task, and this implementation requirements are very tough, and we see some specific problems with that. In Bulgaria, let's say for the end key insights, they still need some clear definition. They would like to develop strongly one-stop shops in Croatia. They develop this financial market, and also they would like to upgrade this criteria for energy poverty. In Greece, very strong developments, multidimensional approach, local governments as the key actors, and they are trying also to overcome these administrative and awareness barriers, which are related also with the source of financing. And as a must, there is also cross-sector coordination needed across energy, housing, welfare policy, transport sector. It was not mentioned even before, which is a very important part of the energy poverty too. In Romania, again, this long-term approach is needed, and behavioral change behind, so very specific aspects which are being developed, but I think that we can all learn about this from this approach, and of course they would like to simplify procedures and expand one-stop shops. Again, these one-stop shops are being redlined through all these topics, but nevertheless I think that it's not just providing one-stop shop. They have to be related for connected to the financial instrument. And as I said before, we have to broaden energy poor household definition, because that is causing us a lot of problems, because we need that the energy poverty definition is not enough. We have this to address this multi-dimensional aspect. Some measures have to be rolled out at the national level as the energy communities. And let me inform you which kind of problem we have with the biomass requirement from this social and climate fund is that we can implement on or introduce only biomass boiler fueled on pellets, but that is very expensive fuel for the poor people, and so for us that is a huge problem, because we have 60% of our heating is on biomass. So that's one of the examples how we should be very careful when we design all these kind of programs. And and what we are also facing are these bottlenecks because we have a limited contractor capacity in Slovenia, related also to the affordable housing and programs for new housing and so on. So that, and if I can wrap up, and
yes, please, because we are running out of time.
Yeah.
If you wrap up.
So maybe just overarching conclusions for all these discussions, proposals, recommendations is that we have to prioritize vulnerable groups, but in all energy actions, not just some. That we have to combine efficiency funding and social inclusion. So from the very beginning, it should be designed in that way, and we have to build on existing cooperation and existing expert networks and data platforms. So all the policies have to be data driven. Otherwise, we will not empower these vulnerable groups to be socially included and also empowered to finance energy efficiency.
Thank you, Damir. Thank you for the presentation. I think that we understood really well that there is a huge need for the vulnerable, marginalized in some cases, groups, because they cannot be excluded. And the problematic area is that they cannot support financially any action. We will continue with questions at the end, and it's time to welcome now Despina Kuzioka, Head of Climate and Environmental Strategy Division of National Bank Greece Bank and National Bank Greece Group, if I'm saying that correctly. We heard a lot. We heard about one-stop shops. We heard about financial instruments that are available, public money. We heard a lot about the vulnerable groups. So now it's time to hear how we can simplify the access to finance and to discuss about standardization, transparency, and user-friendly processes. The floor is yours, Despina. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice. Good afternoon to everyone. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be part of this event today, the cross-country lab and of this panel. I must confess, when I first heard the title of this session and this presentation, I was rather self-sarcastic on the part of the banks reacting to that. Access, standardization, transparency, user-friendliness, and efficiency all in one. That is almost a mission impossible, but honestly and seriously, this is exactly what banks are here to solve for. And today I'll try and give you some perspective on certain aspects of this puzzle, which I hope will be relevant and will be helpful and contribute to this discussion and the work going forward. I'll skip these conclusions and thoughts, and I'll jump straight into pointing out that the delivery of the EU goal on buildings efficiency, energy efficiency, as part of Europe's decarbonization net zero vision, and the need to cater to consumers' needs when it comes to home retrofitting, not only are heavily interconnected, but this interconnection is recognized at the EU level, is part of the EU work plan, and constitutes one of the focal areas of work of the European Energy Efficiency Coalition that was mentioned by my colleague Kiki Papadopoulou, an initiative which we have talked about in a previous event, and in particular is currently unfolding, having kicked off its first of two so far working groups, the one on residential real estate energy renovations. A few weeks ago, I was there and we met as a working group with the agenda to plow through these 6 thematics that you see here listed, and the aim to prioritize out of them and single out one or two or a few selected topics on which to draft specific proposals, or if you wanted a compendia of best practices by the end of the year. The ones on financial products, risk, and data, no surprise, featured as the most prominent ones. Though I have to say that the topic of boosting demand on the part of the consumers kept creeping up every single instance and creeping up while we were discussing every single one of these topics on the list. Meantime, on the bank side, we, as financial institutions, incorporate E, S, and G factors, or sustainability factors and sustainability considerations. And within those considerations, in particular, climate considerations, and within those, in particular, buildings performance considerations, into our corporate strategies and business plans. At the National Bank of Greece, we have structured our ESG strategy along these 9 themes, thematic areas. And you can see the first 3 are on climate and environment. And in there, we have included, as I have marked out, both the topics of sustainable energy and of accelerating transition. The latter, the accelerating transition, pertains to the bank's effort to offer transition financing and/or advisory to support our own clients' decarbonization plans and the transition of the critical to climate and environment portfolios, such as the commercial real estate portfolio and the residential real estate portfolio, our loan books. Indeed, and you can see also here an extract from our 2024 sustainability statement. This is the part where we disclose our interim, meaning for 2030, net zero targets, which we have set on 6 carbon-intensive sectors and portfolios, and which, ever since we declared those targets and we announced them publicly, we report our progress against for transparency reasons. The reason why I'm showing this table to you is to pinpoint and to take you to these last 2 rows where we present and we disclose to the outside world some pretty hefty reduction targets in our financed emissions, and as a matter of fact, in our financed emissions intensity, the physical intensity, how many of those emissions we finance per square meter of property that we keep as a collateral. Especially the last one, which is our target on our residential real estate, our mortgage portfolio, is the one that is proving the most challenging out of all 6 targets. One reason is that its accomplishment is tightly connected with the decarbonization of our grid. For the remaining part, its accomplishment, like to achieve such a reduction in financed emissions intensity, boils down to A, financing new buildings that are of high energy performing class, and B, turning around the existing stock, the old stock of buildings that we keep as collaterals, from poor and low energy performance classes to higher energy performance classes through retrofits. And this is exactly the point where financing from banks comes into play. Talking about transparency, many of us, especially many of us in the banking sector, and in our clients, industrial sectors, have experienced firsthand the cost of it, the cost of transparency, at least speaking about transparency in sustainability disclosures. Per the requirements of CSRD, which stipulate the use of the ESRS, the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, companies in scope of application, such as ourselves, are obliged to follow a holistic process by which we are guided to identify the topics that are worthy of disclosure in our statements, both from an outside-in perspective of financial materiality, i.e. how can external factors of whichever sort affect our financial performance, but also from an inside-out impact materiality perspective, i.e. the activity that I perform as a bank through my operations and through my financing and investing, how it affects climate, environment, and the socioeconomic context in which I'm operating. And on those ones, on those topics that through this dual materiality exercise are deemed to be important enough to disclose, we are asked to go on and disclose a long list of comprehensive metrics that are referred to, and you may have encountered them as data points on each single subject that is deemed as material and important. And here is a simplified form of the outcome of this double materiality exercise. Going down, you will recognize this list of ESRS topics, and going across, you will see the recognized as material IROs, we call them in short, impacts, risks, and opportunities, and how it panned out as a universe for us at NBG. The reason why I'm showing this to you, and this is also an extract from our last year's disclosures, is to make the point that building energy efficiency is for us and for many of our peer banks underpinning the recognition of climate and climate change as a material IRO, impact, risk, and opportunity from different angles. In particular, the expected value pool, which we see developing in the market around home retrofits, is one of the underlying factors behind those ticks that you see here, where we have recognized climate change-related opportunities in the mid and in the long term. Now, while grappling with heightened, to say the least, transparency, due diligence, and risk management requirements, and if not to say obligations, and you will see here in the left part of the picture this tree of involved stakeholders, and you will see in there our regulators featuring first and foremost. Banks have over the last few years enhanced our offering with a range of sustainable related financing instruments. Many of these have been developed and are on offer to individuals, homeowners, seeking to retrofit or renovate their homes. By the way, I won't go that much into it, but there is a debate around these two terms, and their particularities and their distinction is important to us in terms of reporting and disclosing. Meantime, banks are continuing to compete on what we call time to yes and time to cash. In other words, the efficiency of our processes from origination, loan origination, to loan approval and to actual disbursement of the loan. At this point, it's worth noting that increased transparency and reporting requirements means that banks have to absorb this effort internally so that these heightened requirements do not hinder or do not hinder too much our response rates to our customers' requests. In the market that is developing in and around buildings retrofitting, new practices and new business models emerge for banks. One schematic representation of this, which we have used also for our senior management discussions and board discussions, to just illustrate this trend, is this one. Picturing these emerging practices, if you want it, or models, under three distinct roles for banks. One, A, is more or less banks operating as is, offering their existing product and service array and leaving the customers, and in particular homeowners in this discussion, to connect the dots. B, banks forming dedicated partnerships with technical solution providers or equipment providers, tagging along their financing to the provider's offering. And C, banks acting themselves as primary integrators of multi-way partnerships across the entire ecosystem through end-to-end platforms to which the bank's customer comes to have a seamless experience from start to finish. Banks are Greek banks, ourselves and our peers are obviously moving alongside this direction of travel, and they're starting to form this sort of partnerships and undertaking, in some cases, orchestrator roles. Still, more than comprehensiveness of offering or expanded or adjusted business models, standardization, transparency, and simplicity, process efficiency and user-friendliness, the holy grail remains in boosting customer demand. This is a message I cannot emphasize enough. It is a message that we hear all across the board and that we ourselves, as a financial institution, experience. Indeed, I mentioned a little bit earlier about new disbursements to high energy class properties, and also turning around the energy profile of our existing stock of mortgages to higher energy classes. The numbers quarter by quarter, despite our efforts, are to the right direction, but are not yet spectacular. Moreover, amidst a rather counter-climax, if I may describe it, in the recent months, mainly driven, from the other side of the Atlantic with a new administration, driven by heightened geopolitical pressures and fragmented global trade, the weakening, if not to say honestly, the collapse of global alliances envisioning net zero, in which context Europe gets increasingly conscious about its own competitiveness. See Draghi's report, von der Leyen's policy on boosting EU businesses' global competitiveness. It appears that banks, investors, and the financial system on its own cannot go it alone, cannot on its own bring about the step change that we see is required to move the needle. Policy and policy makers seem to be holding the decisive card here, and I'm showing indicative this slide to make the point that what is needed is to demonstrate and to break down the policies and the European legislation, for example, the European Energy Efficiency Directive and the elements of the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, break it down to the public, increase awareness, and then combine with pricing. We come into the picture to combine this with pricing incentives if we are to stand any chance to achieve any serious traction in the market around building renovation and energy efficiency in buildings. And in the interest of time, and so that I leave a little bit of time to my other co-panelists and to an overall discussion, I'm leaving you with 3 closing thoughts. Number 1, buildings energy efficiency is a multi-actor and multi-factor equation, which is recognized and taken into account working level, also at the EU level. Number 2, it is not only, and it is not always about innovation. It is mostly about using and reusing what has worked. Could be guarantees, could be subsidies, could be ESCOs, could be one-stop shops, all of those models that we're discussing. And number 3, banks offering process efficiency and user-friendliness are key, and we have our hands on the deck and our eyes on the ball on these ones, but stimulating consumer demand is paramount. Thank you.
Thank you, Despina, for your presentation. I have some questions, but we will keep them for the short roundtable that we have at the end. I'm now calling our dear colleague, Horia Petran, Senior Researcher at Urban Insert, President at Cluster ProNZ from Romania. He will close this session of presentations by presenting a key discussion and the key question that we have, how we can move from the national roundtables that the SMAFIN Expanded, the previous SMAFIN projects and other related projects can be policy drivers, and how we can sustain and replicate the methodology that we have developed in SMAFIN Expanded. So, Horia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alice. Hello, everybody, and thank you for staying with us. I will close, but not so soon. After so much focused information and presentations, I will step a bit back and climb a bit in order to have the broader image of the SMAFIN approach and SMAFIN methodology, because it's complex. And I took the liberty to repeat some of the information that were shared in the presentation SMAFIN Expanded in a nutshell at the beginning. Because the philosophy of SMAFIN approach, it's based on the Smart Energy Investment Forums organized by the European Commission like 7 to 8 years ago. And it was polished in the first SMAFIN project. It was improved, and now we are asking ourselves what to do with this legacy. So this is the presentation it's all about. The first SMAFIN project was based on a very simple logic of organizing these forums as roundtables with no recipe at the beginning, but with a very good recipe at the end of the project, based on the discussions and the coordination and the selection of topics in the working groups, having a platform for sharing information and a digital forum on the website with the purpose of analyzing the financial schemes and develop and improving the existing financial schemes and developing policy measures. So what the SMAFIN Expanded added was regional broadening by adding Slovenia, a topic broadening by adding tertiary sectors and SMEs, caring about sustainability because we didn't imagine that it would be a SMAFIN Expanded tool, and adding thematic working groups to go deeper into subjects that are needed to be addressed. So as you could find in the chat, the links to the forum and to the information that we have on the platform. We continue the smafin.eu website, but you still can find the old information, the archived information from the SMAFIN on first smafin.eu. The philosophy of the roundtable, and at this moment this is disputable maybe, it's based on the gathering and targeting the relevant sectors, the relevant stakeholders, identify and discuss the barriers and the challenges, and putting together at the same table different perspectives to support the interinstitutional dialogue and to make it continued in order to develop with the sum of all perspectives tailored policy support. So until now, in the SMAFIN projects, we have, I think, 22 until now. And in the last project year that we have started, we will have 27 roundtables. Now we have over 2,100 attendees, and I'm sure that we will have a figure like 2,500 at the end of the project. And what we managed is to attract and to engage a SMAFIN community. During the roundtable, we discussed priority themes that were identified in the working groups, that were also discussed in the thematic working groups, and to generate the cross-sectoral dialogue and knowledge sharing during a mix of plenary sessions and parallel sessions in order to discuss all the topics that are, I would say, every day new. For example, in Bulgaria, and these topics you already have seen in the opening of this cross-country lab presented by Kiki. But just to have a short run over the topics, we discussed with our thematic working groups about the energy communities for renewables and building renovation, sustainability of the one-stop shop, supporting tools of the renovation and residential buildings, financing local government projects and renovation of public buildings in Croatia, together with programs that were already presented as highlights from the previous presentations, and the target of decarbonizing the existing building stock. In Greece, always the one-stop shop, that were topics in Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece, also in the SMAFIN project. We're speaking about financing energy efficiency intervention under the EEOS initiative. In Romania, we had the ambition to tackle some important topics that are too broad to be gathered in only one thematic group. Because in this big umbrella of development of financing mechanisms for energy renovation and decarbonization, we tackle the blended financing, the data needs, and the development of the digital building registry, renovation passport, and long-term strategy for renovation of the building stock, specific programs, integration of grants, and I saw question in the Q&A section, hopefully will be discussed, how to provide incentives for high performance buildings, because you cannot finance for public money what is regulated, what is regulated, what is mandatory, but you can finance better buildings with broader performances. In Slovenia, you already see that they discussed about EU taxonomy and green financing. That was also a topic in Romania. District heating and efficiency, energy efficiency services, demonstration programs aimed at accelerating comprehensive energy renovation for multi-apartment buildings. What we aim now in the last year of the second project is to develop a policy recommendation. So I will get through what we plan to do, but first I will start from what we did in the first project. And for example, in Romania, we developed 3 topics. One of them was the one-stop shop. And we discussed about integrated energy renovation services. This is one of the perspective of seeing one-stop shop. And as already has been presented by Drago, it's about the main purpose of reducing complexity of renovation. And in our opinion, we have to have 3 components: information communication, to targeting awareness raising, financial mechanism, and tools for implementation, the technical assistance. What we did in Romania is to take the policy recommendation from the previous project and to implement a network of 42 operational one-stop shops. Each county has its own one-stop shop. They are dealing now with providing operational support for the implementation of the voucher scheme under the Repower EU chapter of the RRP. But we have financing scheme and some sort of operational assistant, not technical assistant. And the communication, we still lacking in a coordinated way. So I would say that the one-stop shop is still something that we should discuss further in order to, as Drago already presented, support the sustainability of the concept. And just a short idea to launch. What we want to do in the one-stop shop is to buy or to sell building renovation. So we have the clients who want to buy building renovation. We have the financing institution or the managing authority of a program or a bank or whatever, providing the financing. And we have the technical assistance. And if we are taking the very simple case of a banking loan, every key actor in this story has its own perspective. The technical guy, which is usually the designer or the energy auditor for buildings, is thinking in terms of energy performance, useful final primary energy net present value, global cost, monthly savings, and everything. The bank is providing a language that is not always understood by the client. And if I'm going as a client to a bank, I am sent by the bank to a technical specialist. So this is a stop shop, but not one stop shop. On the other hand, what it's important for me is that I want a healthier home, I want a better building, and I want to be able to pay back the loan. But what is important is that if we want the decarbonizing of the building stock, every key actor in this story has to understand what is deep energy renovation, what is nearly zero energy building, or what is the future standard of zero emission building. If we add in this story also a part of grant, capital rebate, as it is called in the banking language, one thing we should keep in mind that we have to serve the client, because the client wants to buy building renovation. And we have to imagine long-term loan products with fair technical assistance, with the communication on the language easy to understand for the client. And I will end this story with a very simple thing to say. If somebody, the specialist or the financing, the bank, is telling to the client that you will be able to repay the loan because the energy saving is bigger than the rate of return for the loan, we will have a business case and we will attract the client. Making the jump to the blended finance and the trustful financing instruments, we have an example in Romania. I am very eager to follow up the implementation, the multi-regional investment platform. This is something that is implemented under implementation with the European funding from the Regional Development Fund in 6 out of 8 regions of development in Romania, targeting also building renovation, public buildings and individual housing. That was one of the left behind sectors in terms of financing energy efficiency. But it's, I will say, the best recipe that could be replicated further. And this is the discussion. How to better implement this, how to learn the lessons from the implementation, how to replicate. For example, with the help of the Romanian Investment and Development Bank, that is a new bank, but it's very active, and this kind of, let's say, recipe of zero cost for the loan with partial guarantee, with a grant that is trigger performance. The bigger, the higher the performance is, the bigger the grant is, and everything that is coming with. So what we have to do, like a very difficult task in the last project year of SMAFIN Expanded, is to develop and to discuss with stakeholders the policy recommendation and the improvement of the strategies that we already have and seek to implement. So we will have one document in each country describing at least 5 policy recommendations, starting from the review of national energy efficient policies that we published and we will update until the end of the project. How can we replicate? How can we move forward with the approach that we already developed? We intended at the first month of the project, because it was the proposal that we have written, to develop a commercial roundtable service based on the methodology that we have developed and tested and piloted, to enhance the roundtable methodology with insight from the upscaling SMAFIN project, and to export, not only to continue the approach in our countries, and I will have some ideas to discuss with you on that, but also to export to other countries, EU countries or candidate countries, like Republic of Moldova, just a random example. And the context that is what's already presented and is very hot now is the European Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition. I will not describe it. It was mentioned before in some presentations. What I want to say is that there is a support from the European Commission for this coalition, which was not invented last year. It's continuing some sort of structures like EFIG and others. And they are now put under an engagement and under a very well-structured umbrella. And the structure is like the General Assembly, the formal functioning is the expert platform. One side is the financing partners, the other side is the industry. For the financial expert platform, we already have. I know that there were 2 calls, so we have a platform of existing stakeholders for many countries, most of the countries. But what is the most important, beside the secretariat that is needed, is the national hubs. The national hubs that are coordinated by some responsible authorities, either for Energy Efficiency Directive or for Energy Performance of Buildings Directive implementation in each member states, or delegates for that. So the target, I think, for continuing the Smart Energy Investment Forum, the roundtables, and maybe not only the roundtables. If you paid attention to the structure of the roundtable, plenaries and parallel discussions. The parallel discussion were topics selected in a consultation with the working group members, with the stakeholders. This could be taken further by the technical working group definition, together with the working group classic, let's say, in SMAFIN Expanded, that remain instrumental for the identification of the hot topics to be developed and to be addressed further. So national and local governments remain at lead to support market development and ensure policy coherence across sector and funding instruments. And for this, we need consultations. We got several times the question, what you are doing in SMAFIN or SMAFIN Expanded initiative? Are you developing financial instruments? And no, we are not doing this, but we are supporting this. We are supporting this by offering consultation opportunities together with interinstitutional dialogue and dialogue between the administration, the public administration, and the market. So for the future, each country will give a specific mandate to its national hub in our project for the European Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition. So connecting with the SMAFIN project's legacy will provide continuity and coherence of the actions toward reaching the envisaged national target, while the dialogue facilitated at EU level will facilitate the scale-up. I do not know, I have an idea of what will be the future, but I do not know what will be supported and in which depth will be supported by the European Commission and by the national governments. But what I know is that there is a need to discuss in the thematic working group focus, which, like in the SMAFIN Expanded project and also in the previous SMAFIN one, were defined in an organic way by discuss with the working group members and put together in once per year in the roundtable discussion. So if this will be supported, I think it's important also to have the experience and knowledge sharing in plenaries together with the stakeholder, maybe at national or regional level, maintaining somehow the concept of the roundtable discussion that we implemented in SMAFIN and SMAFIN Expanded project. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward for your questions.
Thank you, Horia. And with this presentation, we have finished the round of presentations, but we are also almost out of time. We are 4 minutes far from the foreseen end. But in any case, I'm opening the floor just for a short round of questions I have prepared. So Despina, Dragomir, and Morana, if you can open your cameras just to have, one of the questions. And I will start again with Dragomir. I hope, Dragomir, are you here with us? No? Probably technical problem. He's not here. But in any case, I wanted just to highlight again what.
Alice, if you can hear me, I'm replacing Dragomir right now.
Yes. Okay. Hi, Stanislav. Yeah. Just to
Hi.
highlight again what, okay, we have one-stop shops. You have this model now in Bulgaria under the project you presented. But what happens when the public money ends? This is the main question. How are you going to mobilize people to proceed with their own funds, which is the critical thing because it's their own properties. We cannot rely always on public funds and money, correct?
Correct. That's right, and that's our main issue right now, because until we don't have sustainable financial instruments lasting for many, many years, it's not clear how we can attract people to the one-stop shops. Actually, the visitors of the one-stop shops dropped quite a lot after the renovation program was over. So yeah, there are some, they want some support, but it is obviously not the same as when we have the program operating and the people ask for money. So our main recommendation in Bulgaria was to have some long-term instruments that will keep the interest of the people to renovate their house, and that's how they will continue using the services of the one-stop shops. But without financial instruments, well, I doubt
will not be possible.
Successful.
They are not mobilized. So yes, and this raises for me a question is that are we talking and we are promoting energy efficiency because people, they understand what energy efficiency is and they want to live in an energy efficient house, or because just there is money out in the market, free money for a high percentage. They are just taking advantage of that without knowing what are the benefits of energy efficiency. I think that this is a societal challenge to understand what is happening out in the market. I already placed the question for you, Morana, but we didn't receive the answer. We were waiting the end. The question, private investors, how private investors can be engaged in public works and public projects, because again, this is again something that we need to discuss. Public money probably will end for public projects as well at some point, or they are going to be minimized. So somehow we need to talk about new innovative smart financing models.
Okay.
Do you think that they are interested to your opinion and your knowledge on the topic?
Okay, I will keep it short and simple because we don't have enough time, but the main sentence and the main conclusion is we will have to change our mindset because private money is always looking for monitoring, strategy, reporting, and transparency. This is something different than financing with grants. So when we are preparing projects for private finance, we will have to be aware that investor can always ask questions. So this is somehow the main conclusion and the main idea that we should consider.
Okay. Thank you, Morana. Thank you. Moving to Damir. I'm following, the order of presentations. I'm following to Damir. I think that we highlighted a lot that vulnerable groups do not have access to financing. On the other hand, what you presented is that in the 5 countries that SMAFIN Expanded operates, there are definitions of vulnerable groups. There are, in some cases, definitions about energy poverty. There are some programs that help vulnerable groups. But considering that the majority of the building stock in our countries, I mean, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, Slovenia, and Croatia, are in a very bad condition or they have very low performance, I think that we need to support them more because in these bad buildings, the majority of the ones that living in there are vulnerable groups. So, in your opinion, what is needed to have in order to support them better?
I think that basically we have general idea that they need something plus. And let's say in Slovenia, we are providing 100% grant even for them, or they don't pay a loan which is taken by the multi-apartment building. So there are instruments which are functioning, but nevertheless, it showed that we need additional information and that data on their social status, on their needs. Let's say if somebody is ill, they maybe due to its health status, he needs some special medical apparatus, and he is consuming more electricity. So we need some additional information, which energy efficient appliances he can use, and so on, if he is blind, and so on. So we need several sets of information to approach this comprehensive problem. So I think that we just started, and in Slovenia we have the same problem with earthquake. Yeah, you know what to do is seismic reinforcement priority or energy efficiency, and here we are dealing with special groups which need special approach, and I don't think that we are aware of all dimensions we should address. So yeah, but as you said, many tools are there. It is sometimes just a question of coordination between different experts, between different networks, between different platforms.
And probably grouping in some cases, because I see that in many countries we have segmented benefits for vulnerable groups or segmented programs that if we connect them, I think that we can manage things better. Thank you, Damir. I'm moving to Despina with the standardization things. We have experience with frameworks such as the EU taxonomy, such as the European Green Bond Standard. But the question is, considering also what you have presented so far, and also considering what the other presenters have said, what is happening in our region here in the countries that SMAFIN Expanded is operating, how do you think that standardization has or has not worked so far? And what are the needed steps? 1, 2, 3, just a simple answer.
Thank you, dear Alice. Good question. I'd say that, well, to pick on the taxonomy case and the taxonomy example, this is a prime example of a framework that intended to bring standardization, but in its first application went too far, kind of it overshot, and it completely killed simplification. And which is why, of course, now the EU is trying to, through the Omnibus initiative, to set things straight. It's true that standardization is required to bring some common understanding, common languages. The taxonomy works as pretty much any science taxonomy. Everyone calls the same thing by the same name and understand the same thing when they refer to that. Nevertheless, the rules that are currently applied are overly extensive and are overly granular, and they require extreme effort on the part of the reporting entities that in certain cases, the smaller ones, do not have these resources to devote. Plus, the thresholds have been set at such levels that, for example, the KPIs, the green asset ratios, the main KPIs of the taxonomy are reported far too low and are remaining far too low in the time series. So I'd say one lesson learned standardization doesn't always mean simplification and the other way around. So we need to be very careful in designing. Design needs to take into account different maturity levels, and this goes to country level, entity level, and so on. And last but not least, that the big bang approach, 30, 100 pages of guidelines, is not always the most preferable or the most fit for purpose approach.
That's why we see a lot of simplification in policy documents coming also from the European Commission in everything. Simplify, because yes, somehow we are getting lost in so many documentations and thousands of pages that actually they say in some way similar things and they are complicating. So simplification is probably should be number one priority. Of course, simplicity without losing the seriousity, how serious the documents should be, and the methodologies as well. Thank you, Despina. And last but not least, I'm going to Horia, who presented very well our project, starting from the 2020, when we started with a simple SMAFIN without the expanded. The question, we would like to see this methodology to be transferred to other countries and be continued. So how you imagine this uptake of SMAFIN Expanded in other countries? And if, based also on your knowledge and experience, which countries you consider most, I don't know, not appropriate, in need probably for such a methodology to proceed and do whatever we have done and also move far forward from what we have done?
It's difficult to answer to the last part of the question, but we will deliver a methodology, and not only a methodology, but a lot of information that will be available, and that I think is transmitting one simple idea. We need communication, but we better need dialogue. We need different perspective, sharing the same discussion on the same topic, because we do not lack individual strategies. We lack interconnection between individual strategies. And just a simple example, we are speaking about energy efficiency in buildings, and we are saying building energy renovation. Guys, it's building renovation. It's not building energy. Energy renovation is part of the renovation. So if we got this complexity, then we can identify the different perspectives that are lacking in the discussion, because otherwise we will have maybe good ideas implemented in the bad written programs or plans or products or whatever. So yeah, it is about dialogue, and I think the countries who need most is the countries who are lagging behind in building renovation or in energy efficiency or in making the transition from 100% public funding to something that is sustainable from all European countries, but also the candidate countries. And our sister country, Republic of Moldova, they are doing a great job. I visited less than 1 year ago. And they are very responsible in what they are building. They have to build now what for example, Romania, we are building in several years. And yeah, they could be a good candidate of having our knowledge, our support, and to bring this methodology into practice, to build up this dialogue, this consultation that is not developing per se individual instruments or products, but it's helping in having better instruments and products.
Thanks, Gloria. And Damir, you want to say something? Just one sentence, because we are 20 minutes out.
Just one sentence. We are lagging behind all, and so in Slovenia we need this kind of dialogue.
Thank you, Damir. So what I'm keeping from this short round, actually, it's what Horia said, that we do not lack communication, we need more dialogue. So I think that this is a very good motto to close this session. I want to thank everyone, especially the participants, that even though we are 20 minutes far from, we have exceeded our schedule, you are still here in the meeting room. So thank you all. I would like to thank Horia, Petran, Damir Stančić, as I see the faces here, Morana Plegic, and Despina Kuzioka, and Dragomir. Sorry, I forgot his last name. Yeah, sorry for that. Dragomir. So, because I call him always Dragomir, sorry for that, for being present and for delivering these presentations. I know that our coordinator is still here. I don't know, Kiki, if you want to close this session with your last word. You're the coordinator, so yeah, you deserve to have the last say.
Thank you, Alice, very much for organizing so well this cross-country lab. Thank you all attendees who remained with us. I hope you find very useful and interesting what you heard today. And I want to thank all colleagues for the very good and detailed presentations. Thank you very much.
So until next time, thank you. We do not have a recording, but it is available on YouTube, and we will share the presentations with you all in the coming days. So thank you and have a pleasant afternoon. Bye.